Hey folks, good morning and welcome back to the channel. Happy Gatty Crypto here. So let's just jump straight into it. As most of you know by now, because we all get the alerts, so we all see these things, and it's simply just a blip right now. You can never tell if this is going to continue to come down, test lower levels like I've said in my previous videos, or if we're going to continue to rise, consolidate, move sideways. Who really knows? But what we're seeing at the moment is a slight blip. How it's going to play out, we just don't know. But this doesn't tell us whether we're heading back down or we're heading back up. But on a more positive note, what we're finally seeing now is this USTC Repeg from Duncan. And we had Duncan on for a podcast episode to really talk about the whole situation that surrounds it. A cent by cent repeg or penny by penny, depending on what country you're from. And just taking an issue that's there and breaking it down into multiple proposals, which is kind of what they've done, but they've put them into Agora text, and then there'll be proposals that go up to more or less play out what they want to do. So we've spoken a lot here about this whole idea that there possibly could be a new algorithmic stablecoin on the way. We don't know what DK has planned for Luna. But the one thing we do know is he's not stupid, and he's not just going to leave the algorithmic stable kind of role to Luna Classic. It feels like there is a lot involved in this, and they've done something like this before. We know from previous behavior that they will just abandon a coin and move on to the next project, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. We can't fight these things. But what we're seeing from Duncan and his team, and you're going to need to read through these things for yourself. There is 4 Agora texts previous to this one, and you really do need to have a deep read into this. But there are layman's terms, descriptions in most of these, and they really do break it down as best as they can. So to dull this down as much as we can and really simplify it, it's a cent by cent repeg. There's different things that come with it, with these arbitrage modules, plans, projects, whatever you want to call them. There's other little things involved, but the majority of it is just going to be doing it on a soft peg basis to do this penny by penny, not looking for these big jumps, but actually just doing it by the penny, by the cent. It's a really good idea, but there's a lot that comes with something like this. And one of those things is this something that we're going to be able to maintain? Holding the peg is a totally different thing to getting it to the peg. Maintaining the peg is the biggest issue when it comes to something like this. But this is said to streamline the lunk burning process. This is really good. And we've spoken about microtransactions in that podcast. I've also spoken about microtransactions a lot with Tobias in our podcast episodes. Microtransactions are the future to burning, creating utility and moving us upwards at the same time. And it's kind of like this love triangle of utility, burn, and people building. And it just goes round in a circle. And when people are moving forward with things like this, it's a positive thing. It's something for people to get behind. The people who really understand the stablecoin side of the cosmos will benefit the most from proposals and agoras like this, because they really understand the terminology, and terminology is everything. We could sit and read this to you, but when you don't understand the terminology behind a lot of it, you don't understand what some of the words mean. It just sounds like gobbledygook to most people. It sounds like you're talking in riddles, and the majority of people invested in crypto got involved in crypto because they know that it has the possibility of making them financially free, not having to work ever again. And they've heard it from a friend. It's not because they're interested in the software. A lot of people don't know that if you've been involved with a coin like Doge, SHIB, you would never see things like this happening in public because it's not decentralized in that manner. And it just doesn't work like that for them. But this is really good. So doing it cent by cent, I think, is the best way to approach this. And then I think they've run, and I could be wrong on this, but I think they've been running like simulations and they've been testing things out to implement this whole thing. They've put the pros and cons in here and they've been as honest as they can be. I don't see them hiding anything, but this is really one of those times where there's so much involved in it. You're going to have to read it yourself. You need to make your own decisions. You need to understand the pros, the cons, the ins and the outs of everything, because what we've had previously is people just reading like a couple of sections of a proposal, not seeing that it leads to reminting or a tax raise, a tax lowering, and then people are suddenly surprised later on down the line. And we just don't like those sort of things, because when you jam too many things into one proposal, it's kind of unfair, because people might want to say yes to one thing but no to another thing. This is why breaking it down in the manner that this whole Repeg's being done is really good. So something to like really note at the moment is the L1 development team specifically works on L1 development. They don't work on all of the other kind of like ins and outs that we need. So it's really down to the community validators to pitch in and do their best to provide, build and sustain. There's so many people out there that just want to destroy, compromise and do all of these strange things that lead. And what I possibly think, it could just be stress, it could be melting down, but at the same time, there are people who are playing both sides of the ballpark. We've seen it firsthand, we know it happens. We've had people come outright and state these things, but hopefully we're going to get to a point where people just stop washing their laundry in public. People start actually like messaging the people where they believe there's an issue, speaking to them, you know, having calls, communicating correctly, and not just doing this consistent washing of everything in public, lighting people up. He's bad, I'm good, delegate, you know, we're not getting anywhere acting like this. I really believe Duncan's got something here. It's got a long way to go. It's not something that's just suddenly going to be like, oh, you know, 1p, 2p, 3p. Next thing you know, we're at $1. This is going to take time. This is going to take commitment, and it's going to take a lot of manpower, work, and the security issues that come with re-enabling all of the token mythology without the new minting of coins. It's complicated, and you need to get these things so right. And this is why I'm saying you need to read through these, because if there's ever a time where something goes wrong, the previous attack, and it's really funny because recently people have been kind of jumping on this whole idea that the attack came from the inside, but it didn't. It came externally, and it was all to do with USTC. The reason why Luna was affected, which is Luna Classic now, is because it was simply the liquidity coin for USTC. It was designed to hold the peg, nothing more, nothing less. That was its actual job, was to maintain the USTC peg, that being it going above $1 or below $1. So hopefully this all ends to the point of us seeing USTC doing something. A lot of people are going to sit there and you're probably saying, well, Jay, is this going to create FOMO? And anything like this can create FOMO. I mean, Elon Musk can change his picture to a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, and it shoots the price up by 100% of ApeCoin. So anything can really happen from things like this, and people do watch the markets. You've got big money involved in stuff like this. We know a high percentage of the supply is owned. I think it's like 80 something percent is in the top, was it top 100 wallets? Something like that. It's a crazy amount, but there's so many different things that come with this. It looks like all of these different things will get addressed, but theory's only going to get you so far. You really need to play these things out sometimes to actually see if it's doable, if it's not doable, and everything like that. Looking forward to seeing Ziggy getting up to a voting stage of where it's all up, people are talking about it, and hopefully more people cover this, more people talk about it, and more people get people in the community to read, invigorate themselves in what's going on and understand things, instead of this blind voting stuff where people are like, you know, USTC Repeg's up, vote yes, and not even looking into anything and just thinking, you know, it's going to lead to a Repeg, we must vote yes. Guys, have a really nice day. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the content here. Drop a little like on the way out. It really does help the channel. You can delegate your coins with us. We burn once a month. We also build with all of that other spare revenue that we get from the node. It really does help us out, as does liking the channel. Have a really nice morning wherever you are. Stay safe. Beware of scammers. Beware of doppelgangers. Beware of anybody pretending to be me. None of this is financial advice, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Our revenge is made possible by listeners like you. By listeners like you. Our revenge is made possible by listeners like you. By listeners like you. Our revenge is made possible by listeners like you.